Hey guys, Foxdrop here with a video on the recent patch notes that have just been released, the 3.03 patch notes. If you want to look at these patch notes yourself, then I'm going to put a link in the description for you. I won't be reading everything out. I'm just going to be analysing my opinions basically on the jungle related changes that came with this patch. I may do a video on the overall changes if you want, because I think there's quite a lot to talk about in this patch. But if you want me to make one of those, just like let me know in the comments or something, because I'm not going to focus on that just yet. And so yeah, jumping right into it with the patch. Just overall, I think this is a kind of weird patch, but you'll see why in a bit. So Amumu has his bandage toss damage is reduced at later ranks. I'm okay with that because I think Amumu does quite a lot of damage. So anything they can do to nerf his damage. He's kind of OP in solo queue too, so that's fine. And the Curse of Sad Mummy, so his ult has a shorter radius, 550 from 600. Again, I think that's okay. I think overall these are some okay changes, so I'm alright with that. And moving down to the next jungler, Fiddle has new visual effects. Ooh, big buff there. Watch out for all the Fiddle players to be coming in. Hecarim, here we go. Right, now this is something I'm not too sure about. I don't really understand these changes necessarily. At least I don't understand this change here, the Rampage change. So Rampage is his Q, and basically, with his Q, every time you cast it, you can reduce the cooldown by 1 second. Like, it has a 4-second cooldown, and then you use it, that will be reduced to 3-second cooldown, and you use it again, and it will be reduced to a 2-second cooldown. So you can basically spam it when you're in certain fights. And right here, what they've done is they've just increased its damage by 10 across all ranks. So now you're doing 10 extra damage from every Q. Considering how much you spam that, I mean, I don't really agree with this. I mean, Hecarim is one of the hardest carry junglers out there right now. As far as carrying a game on your own goes, I think Hecarim's definitely up there. And I don't really know if this is necessary. I mean, he's already got a ton of damage, and he builds very damage as well. So I don't really agree with this. I don't think this is necessary at all. However, this change is kind of decent though. Spirit of the Dread, which is his W, does AoE damage and heals you for a percentage of the damage that enemies within your little AoE take. And they've adjusted it to 20% at all ranks from 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So at later ranks, it's healing you for less, and at early ranks, it's healing you for more. However, they have increased the cooldown at early ranks up to 20 at rank 1 from 14. So I think early, you're obviously going to get healed more early, but I don't think this really buffs you in the jungle necessarily, because 20 seconds, I mean, it doesn't take you 20 seconds to clear a camp, so you're probably not going to have this up as much. So it may heal you for more, but if you're not going to use it as much because the cooldown's longer, then I don't think that really equates to too much. So I don't think his healing needed to be buffed early anyway, so that's fine. And they have nerfed his healing late game by 10%, and because how much Hecarim builds like squishy, like you just get Spirit of the Elder Lizard and Frozen Fist, and then you go tanky. I think that's fine because he was healing way too much in team fights. He's compensating way too much for the fact that he didn't need to build tanky, because he will just heal so much damage in those, like when you have loads of targets in your W. So I think that's a fair change. But I don't understand this Rampage. I don't know. He's still going to be good. He's not killed. If anything, he may even be slightly better. So we'll see. Kayle is the next jungler on our list. And I'm not too sure what I think about these changes, in all honesty. First off, she gets no more magic resist per level. I can't really comment on that. I mean, they're doing that with some other champions as well, like Nidalee. But right here is her Reckoning, so her Q no longer amplifies damage while target is slowed. I don't know why they wrote while target is slowed. They may as well have said no longer amplifies damage, but whatever. So basically, Kayle doesn't do like 6% or like 8% more damage to the target while Reckoning is on them. So I don't really know how much that equates, so that's the only thing. So I think I don't know whether that's pretty big. That's definitely, Kayle is one of the hardest carry junglers, so that should definitely hurt her single target output anyway, and her burst. And now applies Dagger Holy Fervor, so it doesn't increase your damage, like, strictly, but it does reduce it does shred, MR and armor, so it kind of does, reduce, you could still increase damage slightly. The slow duration has been reduced to 3 seconds from 4 seconds, but the slow amount is now crippling at later ranks. It was 35 like all across the board, and now it's 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and so later on, your slow is really painful. So they've increased her utility, but they've reduced the overall damage, basically. The missile speed has been increased as well, so that's obviously pretty nice. So I think this is probably pretty good for jungle Kayle. I mean, obviously the fact that you no longer do 6% more damage to someone with your Q on them is a pretty, it's hard, but I don't think that really hurts jungle Kayle. I don't think that's why jungle Kayle was awesome. And this right here, this slow adjustment, I have to question, because I honestly think this is maybe too much. I think they may have gone too far with this. I think the utility is really nice, and I quite like it actually, because it means that she's not as much as a carry, but she's still good at utility and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. I still think she'll be fine. It does mean though that they've made kind of like AP Kayle mid and stuff like that not as strong, and I'm fine with that, because I hate Kayle mid. I hate Kayle mid so much. So yeah, there's that with Kayle. Moving down, there are loads of other changes like Tristana and stuff like that, but I'm not going to mention, because I don't jungle. Here we go, Tryndamere. Right, you get a mention, Tryndamere, even though I don't jungle you, because AP Tryndamere is gone. It's dead. Rest in peace, AP Tryndamere. And really, I only have one thing to say to you. Fuck you, whoever played AP Tryndamere. I hate AP Tryndamere, and you can go rot in hell, Trynd, for all I care. So, good job, Riot, getting rid of AP Trynd. Vi. Base attack damage reduced by 4, so that's fair enough. Vi's pretty strong. She's one of those characters that can carry really hard, and she's actually really fun to play and has some intricate playstyles as well with her Q. So, and I think she's really strong right now. So yeah, the base damage nerf is fine. The Vault Breaker, which is her Q. Now, Vault Breaker now goes on a 3-second cooldown and refunds 50% of the mana cost when interrupted, instead of fully refreshing the cooldown and refunding 100% of the mana cost. So if you use your CC to break Vi's Q, you're now getting rewarded for it slightly, because she gets she still costs her 50% of the mana, and it has a 3-second cooldown. So I think that's a cool change. It adds a new level of counterplay against Vi, which if there's not really much counterplay and someone's really strong, then that can be really frustrating. So I think that's a nice change. And Denting Blows, her W, now does less damage at earlier ranks, but still does the same late game. I don't think that's a huge change. It's a nerf. It's a step in the right direction. It will do. But I still think Vi will be really strong right here, because her burst is still going to be insane. Like, her Q damage has not been touched. Her ult damage has not been touched. Her E wasn't touched. It's just the Denting Blows. So she can't duel as well now. So the people who max E may not, like, your E synergize really well with your W, because you could go in some really prolonged engages with enemy champions, and it doesn't do as much anymore. So, but her ability to like 100 to 0 a carry hasn't been changed. So we'll see if I still think she'll be viable. Now right here, Xin Zhao, this is the most questionable change in my opinion, like for the jungle characters. Outside of jungle characters, I think Garen is the weirdest change, but we'll ignore that for now. Xin Zhao. Right, okay, so his E, his charge, Audacious Charge, his E damage has been reduced by not that much, basically, just a tiny bit. So at rank 5, it is 20 damage nerf, and considering you maxed your E second on Xin Zhao, that'll be like around, around the level 12 mark or something like that. I'm not quite sure when it'll be. And 20 damage at that level isn't really a big deal, so I don't think that's too much of a change. And the cooldown increased to full. Basically, the cooldown's been increased by 1 second across the board. Again, that's not a huge deal. It's understandable nerfs though, but I don't think that's that much of a nerf. But this is something I'm really confused about. I really don't know what to think about this, because Crescent Sweep, so his ulti base damage, right, has been obliterated. Like, this has just been murdered. I mean, 50 damage reduction at level 1, so it does 75 instead of 125 at rank 1, and that's across the board. It doesn't dissipate as soon as you get to rank 5, like, it's just a flat 50 nerf. I mean, that seems too much. Like, why? Xin Zhao wasn't strong because of his ult damage. That wasn't really what made him strong. So that confuses me. And then you've got this, which is just a nail in the coffin. I mean, 20-second nerf on the cooldown, just across the board as well, and like almost a half-minute nerf on the cooldown. So not only are you doing peanuts for damage, you now can't even use it that much. And to be fair, that's fair enough. I mean, right, if you're going to nerf something into the ground like Xin Zhao's ult, as far as the offensive aspect of it goes, then sure, increase the cooldown, because I would be embarrassed to tickle people with that ult, so I wouldn't even want to use it. So thank you for persuading me not to, so I wouldn't accidentally click my ult and use it on people and tickle them and then have everyone laugh at me. So thank you, Riot. Thanks very much. But in a more serious note, I don't really understand this. This wasn't what made Xin Zhao strong. His ult will still be good for like the free stats which you get, and obviously the bit where you just knock everyone away, which is really fun. So his ult's still good, but I don't think that's what made him strong. So it's like people complaining that Darius is OP. Holy crap, he's just 5-man Michael Jordan for my team. And they're like, right, yeah, okay guys, we hear you about this on Darius. So instead of nerfing his ult, we're gonna reduce the cooldown on his, we're gonna increase the cooldown on his W. That should fix everything. Now that's what it kind of reminds me of. That it will be something like that. And to be honest, I know they've changed Darius's ult in this patch, so that may have been a bad example, but that was just kind of the jokey. It's the principle. It's something like that, in my opinion. Anyway, I don't think that really does much for Xin Zhao. It's just really weird. It's just really weird. And honestly, whenever you nerf something offensively like this, when the offensive aspect wasn't even a problem, it makes that character really boring to play, because the health stacking, tanky, bruiser, assassin meta, where you just buy health and you rely on your base damage to rinse the enemy carries, is a boring ass meta. It's even more boring than the double gold per 10 jungle meta that was around, support jungle, that was around in Season 2. Snoopy, I blame you for all that. But really, it's even more boring than that, and when you reduce the offensive elements to abilities like this, you just encourage them to build tank. So why is anyone going to build damage when you've just nerfed their damage like this? There's no point. So yeah, I don't really like that change at all. And Warmogs armor, passive health regen reduced to 1% of max health from 1.5. That's fair enough. Like, Warmogs is too strong. The regen was way too strong. You'd buy it and you'd get like 50 health per 5 seconds, just like that, for no reason. When other items, which you actually have to put money into the health regen, or a lot of money into the health regen, would be giving you something like, 10, 15, 20. I mean, yeah, so that's fair enough. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about for the this jungle changes. There are a lot of changes in here, and if you want me to talk about them, then I'll make another video maybe. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. I went a bit over the top, I may have been a bit silly, but you understand the points I was trying to make. They're just these are just my opinions, right? I'm just another player. This is what I think of them. I could be totally wrong on every aspect. Just my opinion. But yeah, thanks for watching this, guys. If you like these kind of videos, let me know. I'll do them every time a patch is released. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in my next video.